Hello and welcome if you're watching in the UK or around the world. The Ukrainian government has warned that Russian forces are amassing ahead of a new offensive aimed at the east of the country, and its foreign minister has appealed to NATO to supply more weapons to counter it. Thousands of people are trying to escape the Donbass region ahead of Russia's expected attack. Well, let's go through some of the main developments in the war in Ukraine. Ukrainian officials are appealing to people in the Donbass region to take this opportunity to flee while it's safe. Russian troops are regrouping for an offensive in Donbass, which is made up of the regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. The US says that Russia's withdrawal from the regions outside Kyiv and Chernihiv is now complete as the war shifts focus to eastern Ukraine. Meanwhile, NATO foreign ministers are resuming discussions in Brussels this morning on how best to arm Ukraine. The UK and the US have announced more sanctions which they hope will stem the funds flowing to Moscow. Ukraine's foreign minister has issued what he termed a very simple call for more weapons from NATO countries to help save lives, as Simon Jones reports.
This is the reality of life under constant Russian shelling. In Severodonetsk, in the east of Ukraine, it's taking its toll.
It's commonplace at the moment. There was also shelling here before, and the house there was hit. My neighbour's house was hit. Of course, I'm scared.
People in the east of the country are being urged to flee now, while they still can, by the Ukrainian government, with Russia expected to intensify its attacks there. Residents told this is a matter of life and death. The Red Cross has helped evacuate people from the besieged city of Mariupol, though it's thought 130,000 remain trapped there.
As you can see, we have made it to Zaporizhia with 7 autobuses and more than 500 civilians that were coming out of Mariupol. We hope that we'll be back and continue to provide this safe passage to the civilians.
In areas around the capital, Kyiv, the Ukrainian forces are now back in control. The Russian withdrawal is complete, according to the Pentagon. That's allowing residents who have fled the fighting to return, but it's a painful homecoming when your home's been destroyed and the horror of what's happened sinks in. In the town of Hostomel, officials say more than 400 people are missing. The UK and the US are stepping up sanctions against Russia. The US is targeting President Putin's daughters, including Katerina Tikhonova. Her work is said to support Russia's defence industry as growing evidence emerges of atrocities by Russian troops.
There's nothing less happening than major war crimes. Responsible nations have to come together to hold these perpetrators accountable. And together with our allies and our partners, we're going to keep raising the economic cost and ratchet up the pain for Putin and further increase Russia's economic isolation.
Russia has described the sanctions as absolutely unlawful and unprecedented, but the Ukrainian president says they don't go far enough.
If there's not a really painful package of sanctions against Russia, and if we don't get the supply of weapons that we really need, which we've asked for many times, it will be considered by Russia as permission. Permission to go further, permission to attack, permission to start a new bloody wave in the Donbass.
As NATO resumes discussions on how best to arm Ukraine against the renewed Russian attack, the Foreign Secretary Liz Truss says the age of engagement with the Kremlin is over. Simon Jones, BBC News.